right, so we've reached the final chapter of this event, and for this I'm going to ask you to take out your mobiles, and if you haven't done it, we have one warm-up question to get started, and let's show the results of that first question. This one was, of course, to get an understanding of who is currently following from home, who is currently situated in this room. If you haven't done it, go to menti.com and follow the code on top of this screen. All right. It seems like we have two types of green, but of course you can see that we have a big chunk of people who are in the trade or in the service providing business, but we have a nice distribution of all people from mining, from manufacturing, from jewelry, so it seems like we have the full scope of the value chain over here. So that's really nice to see. If you, for example, would be interested in finding out or downloading the results at the end of this survey, you would be able to do so. Let's move on to the second question of this mini survey. And in this case, I have a question for you all, is on your personal opinion, how do you believe that out of those 6 topics that I introduced, which one of them hold the most potential for the Antwerp diamond industry as a whole? You can select, I think, up to 3 or 4 answers. It seems like political elections, right? All right, so thank you all for participating in this next question. It seems like we have a fair distribution, and most likely from the various positions that you're in, from your personal experience, you might consider other technologies to be more promising. But of course, as it turns out, digitalization and automation are seen, especially for the Antwerp diamond industry, as important drivers for growth. And I'm happy that you align with what we discovered together with the experts, that this is most likely a very crucial factor to remain cost competitive as well. What I would try to invite you all is on how to consider how these technologies can move beyond bottom line cost optimization, but also how these technologies could provide top line added value for your customers. All right, then we have financing, still seen as one of the important leverages as well. This has been, of course, a lengthy discussion together with the experts as well on what you as an entrepreneur can do and to which extent we need the sector organizations to take it one step further. So thank you all for this feedback. Let's move on to the next question, which is quite similar, but what I'm asking right here is how these 6 potential topics hold the potential for your personal business. We're still waiting for a few more responses, so all right. A slightly skewed interpretation of the last question. So that's nice to see that this doesn't per necessary provide you with the same output. On the topic of financing, I've tried to introduce you in my intro already with the potential of subsidy platforms that exist online, especially when you're considering development of innovation. There are opportunities for you to co-finance your investment. So please consult our full report for a few direct links to maybe relevant funding platforms. Of course, financing goes beyond co-funding. It also requires some kind of competence building on how to pitch a request, maybe to a venture capitalist or for a banking institution, on how to request any collaboration with these guys. So once again, financing might be a very hot topic. Don't hesitate to take some action for you as an individual, and please reach out to us or to these online platforms to take a step. So that's what I would like to say on this one. It's interesting to see as well that also cross-industry networking is seen as one of the very relevant potential leverages for your company. And I'm happy that Marleen addressed the topic as well, that there's still a lot of untapped potential for us to collaborate. Sometimes it can be purely from an investment perspective, that you just share the resources or share the investment together with a partner, and by doing so just benefit from the same result. This is maybe what you have seen at Melissa's project from the Antwerp and ADMP. If they would have taken this journey alone, they might have not been having the critical mass, or they might have lacked the resources to make this happen. But by joining efforts, they made sure that this platform became a reality over, in the end, quite a short period of time from idea conception to product launch. So that's nice to see. All right, then let's move on to the next question. For this, I will ask you which enablers have helped you out over the past years in innovation in your personal business. And this can be small steps or they can be big projects. You can select up to 3 answers, I think. All right. This is nice to see as well. So for all the service providers that were present in this room, maybe some of you can relieve some of these or further accelerate some of these potential enablers. It's interesting to see that once again, access to a trusted network, to trusted partners, is quite a big enabler for innovation. And as I mentioned in my introduction, people from AWDC or from the city of Antwerp, they are matchmakers, and they can help you out if you just have a challenge, but you still require some kind of partner to make it happen. Then we have, I think, followed on the second place, we have keeping up with the speed of industry change as one of the enablers. So you feel that currently you personally are able to capture some of these waves of new innovation and do something valuable with it in your business. So that's really nice to see as well. And then we have access to budget or access to funding. and also the time available to innovate as one of these important enablers. It's really nice to see how this mix of different enablers helps you guys out. I have one last question for you guys, which is the direct opposite of my previous question. So which disablers have kept you from innovating in your personal diamond business? All right, thank you all. So this is probably where we as a team of the innovation program should pay close attention to what you feel are current roadblocks in your innovation endeavors. It's interesting to see that the time available to innovate is still one of those main hurdles. Maybe, of course, because these are busy times for you guys, and we know that it's not easy to carve out some time for deliberate thought in your agenda. So thank you all for being here in the first place as well. Then, of course, access to budget and funding also remains one of those important disablers. And for this, if you ever are wondering, or if you're searching for some kind of sounding board, in some cases, the innovation that you have in mind, it could be rescoped to something less costly. And that might relieve some of that roadblock in order to be able to innovate. For example, by partnering up, you would be able to combine your efforts or reduce your personal effort. Or what we could do is we could imagine how a slimmed down version of your idea could also create some added value without the full investment that is required for it. What also strikes me is that still a lot of people point out that pinpointing that awesome idea for innovation is also still one of those things that you feel somehow lacking. So once again, if you're in need for creativity, if you're in need for inspiration, you can reach out to us, and this is also something that we could facilitate as well. Maybe what we can try to do is proactively trigger you with some concrete examples of how innovation could happen in your industry. Something for us to keep in mind, maybe. All right. Access to partners and network. We've touched that last question as well, so this is interesting to see how this all mixes in your current disablers. As I mentioned before, normally by the end of this survey, you would be able to, on the one hand, if you're interested in this information, to download it, but we can, of course, distribute it afterwards for our downloads on the full report on the business and innovation topic within the City of Antwerp website. This is it from my side. I thank you all for joining and for participating in this survey, but of course we have a closure word before we wrap up this session. Thank you all.